Game number 3 that we want to break down, USC traveling to Michigan in first time we've seen these two jerseys on the field since the 2006 Rose Bowl. Long time ago, obviously. That was a 32-18 Trojans victory. And this is the first matchup between these two in the regular season since 1958. So we've obviously seen Rose Bowl games involving Michigan and SC forever. But in the regular season, this is a rare occurrence. But now that they're both in the Big Ten, we're going to get it with a lot more regularity. So we're excited about that. Question number 1. And I have a bunch of questions on this game. You'll notice. I'm excited about this matchup. Can Michigan protect the football? Michigan. You heard that correctly. Michigan. They're not going to win if they don't continue to protect the football, because their ball security this year compared to where they've been the last few, unrecognizable. It really is. To see a quarterback in Davis Warren turn the ball over as often as he's turned it over is a problem. To see their inability to create turnovers, even against subpar competition, has been alarming. They are currently last in the Big Ten with a -4 turnover margin. They are 119th in the country with that -4. They have turned it over 7 times, including 6 times in the last 2 weeks. That is not sustainable. That is not Michigan football. And USC, albeit new coordinator this year, not last year as much, but the year before that, this has been a pretty opportunistic defense. Will they be this year? We'll find out. Not enough of a sample size to quite figure it out, but can Michigan protect the football is question number 1. Question number 2, is Alex Orji the answer? Now, the last couple weeks, Michigan has run the ball on 51% of their offensive snaps. So when I think going back to fall camp and thinking about this position and having spent quite a bit of time on Michigan and feeling like I have a pretty good pulse on their team, looking at Michigan the last few years, balance was always of the utmost importance, right? If you can create balance where you have offered the threat of the run and the threat of the pass on every single snap, that is a terrific recipe for success. And I think Michigan was striving for comparable balance this year. That's why they started Davis Warren, because they said, hey, we think our offensive line is going to be able to run the football. Our backs are going to be excellent. We don't need the threat of the run at quarterback. We're going to be fine. With a traditional offensive look, with our offensive line, with our running backs, we're going to be fine. What we need at quarterback is a guy that can go back to the defense play action and to keep you honest with his arm downfield, because we're going to run the ball. We just need someone that can hit some of those downfield throws. Well, that hasn't materialized. And as a result, Davis Warren has now been moved to the bench. Hate that this has happened for him. Hate that they haven't played very well around him. But the 51% run versus 49% pass, that's a thing of the past with Alex Orji at quarterback. This group has to be at least 65% run, 35% pass, because I've watched Alex Orji this year. Okay, I've watched everything he's done. And so far, Alex Orji has attempted 6 passes this year. His off-target percentage is 33%. He has missed 2 throws very, very badly. One was a hitch in the flat. The other, he has missed throws. The national average for off-target is 12%. He's 33. Miller Moss, the guy that he's playing against, is at 4.6%. So he's not a thrower. That's okay. And maybe that skill will develop with more and more reps, but his best attribute is going to be quarterback run game. So they're going to do that an awful lot. And as a result, they got to create some explosive plays, because right now only 17% of their offensive plays have gained 10 plus yards. That is 108th in college football. So hopefully Alex Orji is the answer, but that is question number 2. Is he the answer? Question number 3, can Miller Moss and this passing attack get after a secondary that has been somewhat vulnerable this year? I'm surprised, probably just like you. The secondary from Michigan has been a little disappointing. Even Will Johnson The first game, for example, against Fresno, it was not a great start for Will Johnson. People will say, well, he had the pick six. Yeah, he had the pick six. That was rock solid. But I think he gave up 6 completions against Fresno by itself. And it's been a little better the last couple of weeks for sure. But on the other side, whether it's Jair Hill, Amir Hall, the transfer from the FCS, Makari Page, those guys have been targeted multiple times. And it has not been very good for Michigan. You look at how USC's offense has kind of evolved. I guess you could say devolved because it evolved to a very improvisational offense under Caleb Williams. Well, now it's kind of back to being Lincoln Riley's system. And granted, it's just a couple games. They were off, so we only have a couple game sample size. But they're back to really leaning heavily into the RPO. Nearly 90% of their throws are coming from inside the pocket. They have tons of yards after catch. Nearly 60% of their passing game comes from yards after catch. And here's the other thing that's concerning. We mentioned Michigan secondary. Of all the yards that Michigan's given up this year, 77% of their yards given up have been through the air. That is 128th in college football. So they're holding their own against the run, but they have not been very good against the pass, and that is not a good recipe when facing the USC Trojans in this game. Question number 4, can Michigan be better on third down? Right now, Michigan is giving up defensively 41% on third down. That is 103rd in college football. Part of the problem right now with Michigan, though, is they cannot get after the opposing quarterback. They have just 4 sacks this year. Their sack rate is just 3.3%. That is 110th in the sport. National average, by the way, national average in the FBS is 6.5% sack rate. Michigan is at 3.3. They're almost half. They're almost half as good as the national average. And just for comparison's sake, from 2021 to 2023, their sack rate was nearly 8%. So they got to be able to put pressure on the opposing quarterback, or else it's going to be really hard to get off the field on third down like it has been in the first few weeks. Couple trends in the game. This is the first time Michigan is a home underdog twice in one season since 2010. And it's the first time since the 1978 FBS-FCS split that Michigan has been a home underdog as a ranked team twice in one season. So rare situation here for the Michigan Wolverines. USC, however, 0-3 against the spread as a road favorite since the start of last season. Only Kansas State is worse, who is 0-4. Surprised by that one, by the way. Surprised by that one. I'm taking USC in the game. As of this moment, I think Michigan's offense is going to be too one-dimensional. I am not at this point at all threatened by what I've seen from Alex Orji. The one thing I would say, though, is that SC was able to do a lot of nice things in week 1 against LSU offensively. But I watched LSU the last couple of weeks, and I'm not sold on what LSU has going on defense. So maybe Michigan's defense flexes in this one, gets back to playing the way they played the last few years, and makes this thing interesting. But at this point, I'm not sold. I think SC has too many weapons and will exploit a secondary that has been inconsistent this year.